Alright, hi everyone, this is Sam, and we're back for our third video for this Climbing the Rating Ladder series. Let's just dive into it. We're in the 1900s now, so we're going to start facing some very, very strong players. Seeing some advanced openings, advanced middle games, and advanced end games. It's going to be one of those games where you got to beat them like 3 times. You can't make any mistakes. So they go with e4 Vikanover. Goes with e4, rated in 1800, so quite strong. I want to play the Carol Khan. I don't play many openings with black. I think it's as black you should probably be a little more restricted, and then as white you can be more free with your openings. Because you have that extra move. So I mostly play the Carol Khan. I do love the Scandinavian, but I'm not very good at it yet because I just don't know the theory yet. But I'm gonna experiment with the Scandinavian as well because it has a similar pawn structure. All right, so we got this kind of Panov-Botvinnik attack, I believe, from white. But it's kind of looking, or it's interesting. This is like a cross between a Panov-Botvinnik and an advanced variation. So I'm going to let's see what to do here. Let me just bring my knight out real quick and attack his pawn. I don't know that I've played much of this position. Either you usually get the Panov-Botvinnik, which is kind of like what they did, but they trade all the pawns rather than pushing. Or you get them pushing without trading pawns, which is the advanced variation. So this is interesting. But it's one of those things where if you don't know the opening, don't freak out. It doesn't matter that you don't know the opening. Just your opponent left the game. Sorry guys, we get some weird games, don't we? Let's hope they come back. And if they don't, I guess I'll play another one. But it doesn't matter if you don't know the opening whatsoever, okay? Opening theory does matter. It's good to know the moves. It's good to play really good moves. But let's just, pan back for a second. If you don't know any opening theory, but you're a good player, you can still make it work, right? Just based off of principles and not knowing the moves. You would just have to be. My suggestion at that point is if you don't know theory, but you're wandering through the opening, you would have to. Awesome. So my opponent actually comes back. So you would have to actually be more careful and be more solid. But you can still just play moves, that look good and you don't see any problems with. So Vikanover develops their bishop, pinning my knight, so I can't take their pawn. Okay, but is there a threat with that move? Not that I particularly see. Vikanover could eventually add some more pressure with Queen A4, but I can easily defend my knight, so that is not much of an issue. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to challenge his bishop and see what he wants to do. Because if he takes, I'm happy, because then my B pawn is taking towards the center, and I have 2 bishops, so already I'm liking my position, and I think this is something I can work with. All right, D5. Reinforcing E5, controlling C5, and allowing his bishop to come out. No crazy threats. No crazy threats with that move. So I think this is a good opportunity for me to bring my bishop outside of my pawn chain here. Let's hope we get a normal game. The other games have been strange. Like, they haven't been normal. You know, I still, like, you know, they were just weird. Like, blundering pieces and whatnot. This is more of a normal game. So, F4 looks like, you know, Vicanover is preparing G4, trying to swarm my bishop here. It's a logical move. I'm thinking about just playing H5 and stopping G4. Yeah, I might have to do that. It's not ideal, but sometimes in the Caro-Kann, they kind of throw their pawns at you and you have to react. Okay, it brings the knight out, so Vicanover can now castle. Okay. I'm going to go here. So this reinforces my bishop on f5, it reinforces d5, and it allows my bishop on f8 to come out. Alright, so that move protects b4. Now I can't check him with my bishop, so probably a good move. Alright, okay, what I'm gonna do now is decide how I want to configure my pieces here. Let me so the center's closed. So I'm not feeling a ton of danger in the opening. You still have to be careful, but I'm not going to rush everything unless there's a reason to. I'm not going to rush castling necessarily because the center's closed. All right, no threats, so let's make a productive move. That's how you decide, you know, what move you want to make, and you don't get too confused because chess is so confusing and so overwhelming. So, is there a threat? Respond to it. Is there no threat? You know, make your own move. All right. I'm just gonna half develop my knight here. Probably eventually wanting to go to c6, although f5 is another interesting option for the knight in the future potentially, but probably c6 because I would like to play c5 anyways and get rid of my backward pawn and kind of attack their center, but it'd be premature to play that move at this moment because I'm not well developed enough to be opening the center. Vicanover castle, so Vicanover is having some connection issues which may make them play fast, and you guys can see I'm playing very slow, but that's because I want to make sure I'm playing good moves, and if I get to 2 minutes, like, I'm going to be playing fast, okay, because you do not want to be in time trouble under any circumstance. Like, it's better to play fast, like, you know, of your own volition than be like, oh my god, there's 5 seconds, oh my god, there's 5 seconds, and you just play shit. Okay, so what to do here? It's kind of sensitive because, like, I want to play c5, but I don't know if it's safe. C5. Well, I shouldn't play it now because that's just a sacrifice, and I don't like sacrificing. But I don't want to dilly-dally. Just as hard. What to do here, guys? What would you do here? Question to you. Let me go. You know what? Let me go here. I kind of wanted to play this move anyways. Like, it's kind of helpful in general. It's pressuring b2. It's, you know, assisting with maybe pushing c5. All right. Knight c3. menacing knight A4 in a lot of cases. So I need to be wary of that one. Yeah, it's kind of tricky, like, to develop. Let me see here. Kind of tricky to develop. So where should my knight go? Maybe my knight's gonna go to F5 after all. It's hard to decide, but I don't want to get too low on time here. It's hard to decide what to do here. Because I don't want to open the position. Because, look, if I play C5, knight A4 was what I was talking about. That's available, and that, bam, wins a pawn. So, I might play kind of a strange move here. I might play knight to C8. This is a move you see in the Caro-Kann. Sometimes the Caro-Kann is a quite weird opening. I will admit this. Because it's so cramped. Like like I had this my buddy Joseph Abishark. We used to go to the chess club together. Like, I'll talk about my chess friends all the time, guys. And you know, he's a real talented teen, and we were playing the game, you know, these games, and I'll just be whipping on him with the Caro-Kann, and he's like, how do you play this opening? Like, where do you put your pieces? Like, how do you know what to do? And it's like, yeah, it's really weird and everything, and it's hard to play sometimes, but I love this opening. All right, I'm not impressed with this move, knight H4, because it attacks my bishop, but I can just go to G4 with tempo on the queen, and the queen can't go far because the queen's protecting D4. So I'm not super impressed with this move. And also, you know, the knight's vulnerable on H4. I can play bishop E7 attacking the knight soon, which I may do on the next move because it's a free tempo. Free tempos are how you build momentum, guys. Okay, free tempos are how you build momentum. Excuse me, I have a beer here. So, all right, queen gets out of the way, and now I'm gonna get that free tempo on the knight. Now, probably Vikanova was wanting to, like, go after my bishop with H3, but I don't think that works, because then I can play bishop takes H4, H takes G5, H takes G5, and I'm up a pawn, and my rook's open on his king. So that, you know, this is why counterattacks, people don't realize counterattacks don't really work a lot of times, because, like, they don't work like half the time, because a lot of the times they lose a pawn, or they lose more than a pawn. All right, now it gets out of the way. And now I can just castle if I felt like it, but I can also just push my bishop here and just tickle his queen. I really enjoy my position now. I have two bishops. You know, no weaknesses in my position except for C6, which hopefully at some point I can alleviate. I'm thinking about playing, I wonder if I should play H6 here. That's like a filthy strangling move. I want to play H6. Just keep getting space. I love doing in this opening. You know, white likes to push their pawns on black, but black can push their pawns on white in the Caro-Kann. And I'm not castled yet, and it's hilarious because it's like it's move 16 and I'm not castled. It's like, what are you doing, bro? But it's because look at the center. Look at the center, right? Like, you have to look at the chess pieces as you know, soldiers, right? So my king is completely safe behind his barricade of pawns, his barricade of foot soldiers, and he's got his, you know, trusty sergeants protecting him as well, and his badass baddie queen. The king is my spirit animal. He's just like a freaking nerd who's got like, you know, a badass goth girlfriend who just fucks everybody up for him. I mean, come on, man. Like, what more can you want? All right, good move. Really, really clamping down on c4. So it's going to be hard for me to get rid of my weakness on c. Excuse me. On c5. And Vikanovor is also getting ready to play bishop to b2, connecting all the majors. You know, but I'm thinking a5 is a good move here, just attacking him right away. Because I don't see like a ton of compelling replies to that. I'm just going to do that. Just attack his structure. Because look, my bishop, my queen, my pawn are all attacking his structure. And b4 is preventing me from playing c5 at some point and getting rid of my backward pawn. That's the only thing I don't like about my position. Everything else about my position is amazing. I have two bishops. His d4 pawn is weak. Okay, I have a ton of space on the king side, and it's protected by my bishop, so I can castle whenever I want. Like, that's the nice thing. Like, sometimes you can put a pawn there, and you feel all smug, but it's protected by a rook, and you're just like, dang it, I can't even castle. But it's protected by my bishop and the rook, so I can do whatever. And this opening is going great. You know, I think I've got a really good position, and Vikanovor is going to have to play some industrious, clever chess to put up a good fight, because I mean, right now I'm threatening to win a pawn, and I've got so many positional pluses. I've got two bishops, I've got a better pawn structure, I have more space. White's better developed. That's the one thing they have, right? Because I am a couple moves behind from developing. I say a couple because my knight that I half developed is now undeveloped again, and hilariously has like almost no moves except for to go be dim and grim on the side of the board. I thought I had a cat bugging me, but alas, no cat. And I'm making Vikanovor think now, which is nice, because they were playing quite fast, and I was trying not to, you know, you don't want your opponent's pace to impact you too much until you get down to a couple minutes, but you do want to have it in the back of your mind that they're playing fast and you're playing like a grandpa. So, but hey, my position's great, so I mean, I'd rather be down 3 minutes, and legitimately, I'd rather be down 3 minutes and plus 0.5 on the evaluation, because the position does matter more than time, vast majority of the time. All right, goes here, which I thought they would. So queen's attacked, got to move the queen. Should probably move the queen to a space that's not very vulnerable, but also protects c6, because c6 is vulnerable. It can be attacked easily, and it's not, well, the move that I talked about earlier, knight a7 protects that stupid pawn, and then dumb knight has employment then, so that's hilarious. So maybe the queen doesn't need to protect the pawn, because the pawn's not attacked, and even though it's not defended, it can be defended by that move. So okay, so my queen can go somewhere else. My queen doesn't want to defend that pawn. She's too much of a baddie to be defending backward pawns. Okay, so she's gonna go just all the I was gonna say all the way back to a7, and then that blocks my a7 square for the knight. So you know what? I'm just gonna go all the way back. It doesn't matter that much that I'm going all the way back. That's just, you know, only semantically or symbolically does it matter to me that my queen's going back. Like, yes, you want them off their starter square to develop, but You know, if they have to go back because your opponent's being aggressive, then kudos to them, and you got to do what you got to do rather than like, oh no, I don't want to go back. You got to do what you got to do, man. Goes there, connecting all the majors. I'm also got to speed up a little bit here. And then is also threatening. B takes a5, getting a passed pawn. So I'm going to take here, and then I might castle. And I'm also just noticing here that knight to b6 is a possibility. When did that happen? Oh, because my queen's no longer there. See, it's funny. Chess is really funny. Sometimes, like, you know, you only realize, you know, something's a possibility, you know, when you get there. It's like, oh, my knight can go there? Cool. You know, and now my knight is looking a little bit more productive in the future. So their queen is still tied down to the knight. That's nice for me. Okay, I think I'm going to castle. However, hold up, I could play. I like this move. I like that. I like that a lot. Just absolutely gut their light squares. Because I have two bishops. I mean, I have two bishops, right? So I should be opening up lines, especially the light squares. Yeah, this gives them pause. They're getting nervous. My pawn has just gone, you know, all the way up there, boldly, into Black's camp. Got them down to 9 minutes now. That's good. So if I beat Vicken over, I get over 2,000, and we should start to get some really serious games. But this game is already starting to show you guys how chess is more so played at higher levels. We don't just blunder pieces and whatnot so often. Sometimes we do, but mostly it's high level chess. Just not quite as high level as masters and grandmasters, but it's comparable to their games, just at a lower level, if that makes sense, right? It's like if they were on an off day, but we still play like them. So goes there. I'm gonna pin that knight. I'm just gonna pin that knight. Ooh, that looks nice. I mean, knight's pinned, bishop cannot be attacked whatsoever, and that pawn on h3 is 2 squares away from queening. Okay, so if the h2 pawn ever gets removed, that is highly tantalizing there. Yeah, I'm continuing to like my position here. And they still cannot move their queen hardly because their knight would be pressured. Okay, so who to take with? Not the king. That's a little extravagant. Well, should I take with the king? Nah, that's stupid. Nah, that's a little extravagant. Alright, queen or knight? I can go with the knight. Ooh, if I go with the knight, I can go knight takes e7 and then later into f5 like I talked about, and I'd be pressuring d5. Let me take with the knight. Hell yeah, I'm really enjoying my position here. It's all coming together, guys. It's like Kronk from Emperor's New Groove. You guys know what I'm talking about. It's all coming together. I don't have 2 bishops, but I have 1 bishop. And 1 bishop is better than no bishops. I'm going to tell you something, guys. I'm going to tell you a little secret. Bishops really are worth 3¼ points, not 3. That's how strong they are. So 2 bishops is worth a ½ point stronger than 2 knights, minimum. Alright. Knight there makes sense. He's blockading my pawn. Not threatening much, though. He's blockading the pawn, but he's not attacking it. but he is getting his knight out of the way of my rook, so this makes sense. But I think I can just play knight f5, and I'm pressuring his d his d4 pawn, and I'm also incidentally threatening knight e3, landing a fork. So let me go with that. And it's hilarious. It's move 23 and I haven't castled, but that's the Carol Khan for you. You know, people think broadly, I say people, a lot of my experiences are based off of the 2010s when I first started playing chess, tournament chess. But perceptions of openings have definitely changed into the 20s. It's kind of like sometimes opening perceptions are reversed. It's like, oh, that, in the 2010s, everyone thought the London system and the Carol Khan were boring, and not very interesting. But now everybody knows that the Carol Khan is fascinating. Now everybody knows that you can, with the London system, you can absolutely just checkmate the hell out of people in like 10 moves. I've done it many times. It's fun as fuck, and you're just like, damn, how did I do that? And they're like, damn, how do you do that? And it's like, well, because you're using the one tempo that in the London system that you didn't use to move your c pawn to attack white, and you're just shoving it down their throat principally. And if they didn't calculate, then they're going to get screwed. But my point being, it's the same with the Carol Khan. This used to be considered a boring opening, but look at this. This does not look boring to me. Yes, the position's closed, but to me, boring means a balanced position, whereas a non-boring position would be imbalanced. All right, queen there, connecting the rooks, getting out of the pin. The knight's still protected by the rook, so it might be time for me to castle here. However, a really fucking funny move would be queen a5, attacking his queen, and then queen takes a5, rook takes a5, and I'm actually threatening bishop takes f3, rook takes f3, knight takes d5, essentially winning, because I'd have just a protected pass pawn, no weaknesses, that freak of nature pawn on h3. So I think I'm gonna play that. I gotta be a little bit careful on time here. Let me keep an eye on the clock. Don't move fast, but let me keep an eye on the clock. And I say this is hilarious, right? Because it's like, I still haven't castled. It's move 24. They say you want to castle before move 10, right? And this is hilarious. Not before move 10, by move 10. But this is hilarious. Alright, so I'm actually threatening here. Bishop takes f3, rook takes f3, knight takes d4. Okay, attacks my rook. I don't like that move, though. I don't like that move at all for them. Yeah, not very convincing, because I'm actually just going to go here, attack the knight, right, and then they don't really have anywhere to go. So I don't really understand that. I think that loses a pawn. Okay, goes there, but now I can take with my knight, and now I think I should take his knight, stop him from getting frisky, and I think just go win d6 with my king, right? I mean, king d6, or king d7, king takes d6. Yeah. Nothing wrong with it. Alright, should be up a pawn here. And d4 for them is vulnerable. Like, I can... Oh! I'm kind of pissed at myself. Dang it! I wanted to play rook a4 so they can play a4. Damn it. Rook a4 would have attacked d4, and it would have stopped his pawn from running. I'm irritated at myself here. Whatever. Let's just take this pawn. Okay, but I'm up a pawn, so that's good. But I'm not playing the best moves. Like, I'm getting sloppy. It's irritating. Don't get sloppy. I should have played Rook a4. That's preparing to double. It's stopping his pawns. His pawn from moving. Goes there attacking my pawn. However, I think I'm going to do this. Attacking his pawn. Yeah. Okay. Well, now I can shut your play down, though. Check this out. Boom. Your play's shut down. Okay. Now my rook has no use there anymore, so let me go here. They're playing well. The one thing I don't like is I didn't play Rook a4. That kind of sucks. But I might pitch the H pawn here. Because it's not useful to keep my rook defending it, right? And I'm up a pawn, so I'm going to pitch the H pawn and get my rook active. It's possible I could play, like, you know, Rook A8 or Rook H to A8 and attack that pawn first, make him go Rook F to A3, and then I go, like, you know, Rook B8 and, like, kind of finagle a little bit, but I think this is a good move. He goes there, attack my pawn. And now I'm actually gonna attack this pawn here. If I take that, then I have two connected pass pawns. That's big. So c5, d takes c5, king takes c5. He can't really play king takes h3 because then I can play rook takes f4. So do that. They say all rook endgames are drawn. And let me speed up here. They say all rook endgames are drawn, so you know it's very tough to win rook endgames unless you're up 2 or 3 pawns. If you're up a pawn, it's really hard to win because their rook can be so their rooks or rook can be so active or so, you know, just good at defending that either the pawn can't go anywhere. I don't like that from them. They're playing not so enterprisingly. Either the pawn can't go anywhere or they can just check the king endlessly. Okay, so I'm up a pawn still, and I have 2 connected passed pawns, so I actually really like my position. My rook's attacked. Now let me go here. I should win this position. I should, if I'm careful. I think the computer is going to say this is winning, but it's not 100% guaranteed. So my rook should stay on a7. I should just make note of that. It needs to stay on a7 to, you know, defend. Just attack you. Goes there. Wow. Okay. No, that makes sense though. I mean, they're stopping, or you know, my f7 pawn would be hanging. Let me get my king out of any checks and get him maybe defending f7 at some point. But then his other rook could come over and attack it. So yeah, they're playing interestingly. Don't get below a couple minutes here, and if you do start just trying to speed up a little bit and gain some of that time back. Very conscientious of the clock. Wow. What it okay. Playing weird. Actually, let me do this. Defend the pawn. If they play rook A to F1, I can play king. These are confusing moves to me, man. I don't get it. I mean, you dropped on a pawn. You're playing too fast. Wow. I mean, this shouldn't have. Like, I'm just sorry. I'm confused. Like, I'm happy to win, but they're not playing very challengingly. They're, you want to keep material on and present present threats. But Vicanover's not doing this, so I'm up a couple pawns. I should be winning here. Let me just get my rook to d6 and then start pushing my pawns. Yeah, king there, and that blunder is a discovered attack. Check with the rook, attack with the pawn, won a third pawn, and bishop resign. Good game. Yeah, that was that's kind of just goes sometimes. You get it. You get an advantage, and your opponent doesn't really fight back very hard. But it's hard to know how to fight back. It's I'm not judging them by any means. They didn't play a bad game. This is a really good game. It lasted 49 moves. This is an interesting game, and I enjoyed playing it. They played at a high level. But I just mean, when they lost a pawn, it's like when you're down a pawn, you want to play better, right, than you did before. But they kind of their quality of play went down a little bit. So let's look at this game. Look at this game. It's getting to be a long video here. It'll be like over 40 minutes, so hope you all like long videos. Because probably I'll be playing games and then analyzing them for climbing the rating ladder videos, and then for my tournament analysis videos, probably I'll be showing you, my real board, and then showing you the real moves and everything like that. But I could just be playing from the interwebs as well. So let's begin this analysis. E4, we get the Caro-Kann. And again, I'm over 2,000 now, so now we should start getting really high-level games coming up. So, pull my necklace out here. So we get this, which is like kind of like a Panov Botvinnik, but usually when I play d5, they actually want to trade like all the pawns there, but they didn't. So we get kind of like a Panov and advanced variation combination, which is really interesting. But I'm sure it's theory. I'm sure it's happened before. I just haven't seen this a ton. But it's not bad for black by any means. Like, I think a lot of these sidelines give black no issues particularly. So black just has to, be careful in the middle game, but they don't really have to be careful in the opening. You know what I'm saying? I bring my knight out, attacking the pawn. They develop, pinning the knight. I attack the bishop. They trade. So now I have a nice strong center and 2 bishops. However, my c6 pawn is weak and my a6 pawn is isolated, so that's probably what they were going for. And you guys saw that my c6 pawn was a potential weakness for almost the entire game. So the c6 pawn is one of the ways that Caro-Kann players can lose. Like, you can it can be a backward pawn that you can try to defend, and then they attack it, and then they win it, and then they win the end game. So you got to be quite careful of that. All right. I bring my bishop out. They go here. Makes a lot of sense. You know, sometimes you don't want to push pawns in front of your king, but the position's locked, so it's fully possible. And you know, white does a lot of pawn storms in this opening, and they're not threatening to trap my bishop. I think I said that in the game. It's more so that they're just, you know, if I play a move that I want to play, like e6, then my bishop could get trapped, and it can't get trapped necessarily in this position. Like, I could play bishop takes, you know, b1, but you don't want to give up your bishop that you just got. Yeah, I just got the bishop there. I don't want to give it away, and that's why I played h5. Vikanova brings the knight out. I play here, getting my bishop out. They stop at check, which is a logical move. I probably would have played that check, so that's a good move by them. I bring my knight out, and you got to do some funky maneuvering with knights sometimes in the Caro-Kann. You just got to be used to it, and don't be weirded out by you know, like, oh god, I got to play that move. You know, it's ridiculous. Sometimes you got to do it, and it's okay, because, you know, white doesn't have the momentum, you know, to punish it. So I bring my queen out. They bring their knight out. I duck my knight back here. They attack my knight, which I think is an inaccuracy, because now I can go attack their queen, attack their knight, attack their queen, and gain some space, right? All based off of that. Okay, so they go here, but now I'm attacking their center, their structure. That is, I'm not gonna say it's overextended, because, like, what else are you gonna do with that pawn? You have to push it there, but it's just it's a feature of the position. It's overextended, and now I'm attacking it. They attack my queen. I back up. I like this move. I mean, some people might be inclined to play like queen b5, which, you know, pressures the knight, but then it can be attacked again with, you know, knight c3. Queen a6 is really awkward, because then it gets hit with a tempo when they play knight c4. Queen a7 blocks, you know, is actually a good move. Typically, you might want to play queen a7, but in this case, I wanted to play knight a7 in the future. So queen d8 was a good move. And notice my clock. Like, I never got worried. Like, it's okay to play slow. It really is okay. Like, honestly, in my opinion, you shouldn't play the same, you know, speed through the whole game. You should play very slow at first, and then if you get into time trouble, then you play, or not time trouble, if you approach time trouble, because you don't want to get into time trouble if at all possible. Obviously, you're going to get into time trouble, guys. Okay, you're gonna, I'm not saying it's not gonna happen, but you want to avoid it. But you know, you want to play slow, like I did, get a really good position, and then your position is easy to play, then you can play fast. See? All right. Brings the bishop out, attacks my pawn, connects all the majors. I trade here. And, you know, this is a sensible maneuver for them, because they're getting rid of my bishop pair. So it makes sense, but I think my position is just so good at this point that there's not much they can do. Like, I don't know, like, there's legit not much they can do aside to try to pressure c6, but it's somewhat easy to defend, and I have so much pluses in my position. And I'm so glad I played h3 here before they played h3, right? And I can play this move because they have no light square bishop, and I do, so, you know, when I play bishop g4 coming up, they can't unpin, you know, with like bishop e2 or something, because there's no bishop. So this was a great move. Like, you know, this is why it's important. Like, if they have no threat, don't just you know, don't just make a move. You know, that's an opportunity for you to make a threat on them. Or you know, this isn't necessarily a threat. I don't think I'm threatening anything here necessarily, except for possibly to exchange on. Well, probably. Well, actually, it's a threat. I'd call it a threat because I'm threatening to exchange on G2 and split their pawn structure up and open their king up. So it's a threat. But I mean, broadly speaking, I would keep that pawn there anyways. Like, you know, I would consider keeping it there if they didn't push forward. So when you have opportunities, when they don't have a threat, right, that they're making on you, that's an opportunity for you to you know, to bully them, and you should. They go here, I pin their knight, trade, and I like bringing my knight here because now my knight is actually proactively defending c6, and in the future can go to knight f5 and attack d4, and I'm threatening a fork and everything. So, you know, you see as the game goes on, I'm kind of, you know, I'm pushing them, they're backing up, I'm pushing them, they're backing up, and it just proceeds like that, and it adds up and it adds up, and that's how you win, just like in a real fight. They go there, I go here threatening a fork, they connect rooks and defend the fork, but now I want to trade queens and they allow it. I don't know what else they would do. You know, potentially they could duck the queen trade, but then I've just got another developing move, right? Now I can castle. So, you know, they wanted to get a tempo, right? So, you know, they took, I took, and now it's their move, as opposed to, you know, they move away, and now I'm still pressing. So you gotta really take chess beat by beat sometimes. You know, you have to consider it move by move, and you know, as you know, the sections of the games, like openings, middle games, end game, the whole game is a big picture, but you have to take it move by move. Like, you know, is this a good move because I'm losing a tempo, or is it a good move because I'm gaining a tempo? Sometimes it's as simple as that, if there's, you know, all else being equal. Goes there. I don't like that move because now I can attack the knight. Either they have to go back meekly to c5 and admit that they were wrong and they're losing a pawn, or they have to do this and lose a pawn in another way. So take the knight. This is important. You really want to take that knight before he dives into e4 or e5, or just you know, sticks around too long and causes some shenanigans, because knights in endgames can be quite tricky, and they can be obnoxious, and it's hard to figure out what they want to do, and then they just do it, and you're like, I want to strangle you, knight. Alright, they take my bishop. I go here attacking the pawn, but I really, if I played rook a4, I would have been so happy with this like Karpovian move, right? Because I'm not just going for the obvious move. I'm not going for the sitting duck pawn. I'm putting my rook on this beautiful square where it's actually obstructing their one positive, which is their passed a pawn. It's preparing to double, and I should have realized, like, you know, I'm just gonna pitch the h3 pawn anyways. Like, you know, that pawn was a strength in the middle game. Now it's the end game, so it's actually probably a weakness, and I don't want to sit there and defend it. That's not productive. I mean, who cares about a pawn? You know, the rook wants to play. The rook does not want to babysit the pawn. You want to ask your pieces what they want to do. So I should have played rook a4. I think that, you know, I probably let some advantage slip there. So they play a4, now allowing me to play rook a4 and advancing the pawn makes perfect sense. Passed pawns should be pushed. I take the pawn, so now I'm a pawn, and I should be winning. At least if I'm not winning, I should be a lot better here. And black has to play very accurately to not lose. But they didn't. I mean, I'm not going to say they played horribly, but they didn't put up much of a fight. And I'm going to show you guys how. So there, okay, putting pressure on my pawn, gaining some space, but now I attack the pawn, threatening with check. They go here, but now I can just push here. See, in the Swiss cheese pawn structure, you know, doesn't allow them to move anymore. So I liked that. And now they go there, pushing their pawn. So I bring my rook back. Brings his king up to take my pawn eventually. I bring my rook over. He goes there. I attack the pawn. He defends. And I go here, trading to get my passed d pawn, and so I'll have pressure on f4. And they should have never gave f4 up. I'll just say that right now. They should have never gave f4 up. Like, you don't want to trade. Like, let me just show you right here. So when you trade right here, right? White's thinking, oh, I take a pawn, they take a pawn, that's equal. That's not equal. That's not equal at all, because now I have two connected passed pawns and you have nothing aside from your a pawn. So, all trades are not equal, and they really should have, played like rook f3, defended the pawn, and now they're defending the pawn, and then they could take the pawn on h3, and material's equal, the position's worse, but they're not down an f pawn. But they take, I take, and now I think I really am winning because I have two connected pass pawns. Attack my rook. I go over here. They pressure my pawn. I get my rook attacking their pawn. They'll go here. That's actually a clever move because I don't want to take on a5. Rook takes a5. It doesn't matter what rook. Rook takes a5. Rook takes a5. Rook takes f7. That's actually looking like a pretty, a pretty disappointing draw. I bet you it's gonna be a draw. I'm up a pawn, but g6 is a sitting duck. Their h and g pawns are very dangerous. My pawns are passed, but they're not as far forward as theirs. So you don't want to just take pawns. Like, you want to protect your position and then take their pawns, right? You don't want to just take their pawns at the behest of your position. I don't know if I used the word behest there, right? But I love that word. All right, I bring my king out of the way of any checks, and I bring him a little bit closer to defending my pawn. He goes here. I defend my pawn, and I thought they really should have played, this rook to here, attacking there, because then it's like, you gotta attack. You can't just wait around. You gotta make me, make me think. And that's why they didn't play much of a fight. They just kind of played, right? But you have to fight. Really have to fight. Especially, if I'm low on time, I was getting slightly nervous because I'm thinking, if they start attacking me, I have to burn a little bit of time every move. And I was getting slightly nervous, but then I started to not relax, but I started to become confident as I saw that they weren't in a fighting mood. They weren't in much of a fighting mindset, right? It's like think about it. If you're in a fight, right, and you're winning, and you see that your opponent has a defeated expression and that they're losing steam and that they're not really going, or they're being reckless, they're not really being accurate, you can tell that they're losing heart, you feel better and you feel more powerful. And that's how I felt in this game. And they want to fight back and make me think, damn, I'm up a pawn, but it's a free-for-all because I'm down on time, they're attacking me, the position's getting weird. That's what they want to happen. So trades here now, it's just a dead win for me. It's all, as they say, a matter of technique. All that is required of me is that I play the correct moves and I'll win, essentially. So goes there, trade, go here, blunder, this discovered attack, which is understandable. Your position's losing, there's no good moves. But so in this, I like discovered attacks because it's like you move one piece and another piece attacks something else. And in this case, you can actually attack several things. Like, I'm attacking his rook with my pawn, attacking his king with my rook, so his only good option is to defend with the rook. But now I'm just up 3 beautiful pawns, and I could beat Magnus Carlsen 100 out of 100 games in this position. So that is all to be said. I don't know that there's much to analyze with the computer. So let's just look at the tail of the tapes right quick, and I think we'll be done here, guys. This is an hour long, so I know this is quite indulgent, but I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoyed the thought process, and I hope you, as fellow amateurs, find this useful and compelling as a way to become a master. Just not making mistakes. Okay, that's it. Just don't make mistakes. Got it? That's like two things: don't make mistakes, and try to play good moves. That's literally it. Okay, it's not, you can't not make mistakes and then play meh or subpar moves. You have to make good moves, but the most important thing, much more important than making good moves, is not blundering, right? Because you can, like, literally, I've played games that have lasted 60, 70 moves, and I've lost it because I played one bad move. That's a perfect example. That's a microcosm of that whole situation. So this was a great game. Good game, Vic and Over. Let's look at the engine analysis here. And just look at the computer analysis right quick before we sign out. I don't want this to be over an hour. I'm just some chess lover. I'm not Gotham chess over here. Shout out to Gotham. Okay, good game. It's interesting. It looks like it's possible that I gave up some of my advantage here. So I was winning. Okay. And then this is... What's wrong here? That's a blunder. I guess it's an unnecessary move. Well, I guess, yeah, it's unnecessary. They were never threatening F5 because D5 would hang by my rook. Okay. Now my position is good, but not winning. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. I was overly prophylactic. I was eager to play a move that I liked because I've seen that structure a lot, but concretely it was not necessary at all. So it was a waste of a move, and even more so than that, it's kind of locking up my position. So that's interesting. Yeah, and you can kind of see in this position, like, yeah, black's better, but I'm not, like, winning, right? Like, you can just see it. Okay. But I play on. Okay. Now it's, like, slightly better for black. Yeah, that's a bad move. That's a blunder, evidently. That's a blunder. Why? Yeah, it's just, he can't really defend A5, I guess. It could be... It's hard to say. Yeah. And I go here, which is a blunder. Best move arrow? There should be best move arrows somewhere there. I played 88% accuracy, which is good. But, tell me, computer, what's the problem here? So, okay, here we go. That's how you that's how you toggle the dashboard. So this was a blunder. it just wants me to take. And the position that I thought was a draw was winning. I guess my D pawn's probably like queening or something. Jeez. You gotta get good at evaluating positions. Like, it sucks when you think that like a winning position was, you know, losing, and then a losing position was winning, and the computer's like, you suck. Because I didn't think this was good, but it is. Interesting. So I go there and squander my advantage. But they that go there and squander it back. I go here and squander it again. Jesus. Just as hard. But now it's just losing and I can win. Okay. Incredible. So, interesting. So don't be allergic to giving up pawns, I guess? Like, you know, the computers are so strong that they kind of throw away principles sometimes. Like, I didn't, you know, like, I wanted to protect my position, but the computer's like, nah, you don't have to protect your position, you can just win. So I guess keep that in mind, guys. Be aggressive sometimes. Be aggressive sometimes. Alright, hope you enjoyed this. I'll be back for another video real quick. I hope you all got something from it as well. And I'll see you next time. Peace.